Dr. Wayne Sotile, internationally known speaker, clinical psychologist, consultant, and trainer.
The more urgent we get, the more type A we get. The more type A we get in one dimension or another, the more likely it is we will hurt relationships. The more we hurt relationships, the more quickly will we burn out. We lose our resilience.
Dr. Sotile teaches the secrets of high-performing individuals, couples, and organizations. He has delivered more than 4,000 invited addresses to professional and lay audiences, including presentations to the American Medical Association leadership, the $1 Million Roundtable, pharmaceutical, insurance, and other sales associations, and countless gatherings of Fortune 500 corporations. His 9 books and his pioneering work as a health psychologist and speaker has resulted in national television appearances on Good Morning America, Dateline NBC, CBS Early Show, and featured articles in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Psychology Today, and many others.
Thank you very much. What an honor it is to be here. Life is about love and work. Sigmund Freud said that. Might be the only thing old Sigmund got right in his cocaine-induced haze, but he nailed that one. Now, bearing that notion in mind, I want to ask you 2 questions. Your answers to these 2 questions, more than 30 years of health psychology research suggests, will likely predict most of what matters most to you in your life. The first question is, who are you to the ones you love and work with? You can tell by looking in their eyes when you come in the room. Do they look like relief just arrived? My biggest fan just got here. My hero is here. Or do they have a more skitterish look? Worried about getting caught doing something wrong? Who are you to the ones you love and work with? The second question is, all factors considered in love and in work, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you say you are? Now remember your number, we're going to come back to it, but no cheating. I learned the dangers of cheating long ago. In South Louisiana, where I grew up, everybody wants to go to LSU. My family too. My brother Glenn, my cousin Bonadonna, took the entrance exam on the same day, made exactly the same score. A few weeks later, Glenn's letter came, "Welcome to LSU, Glenn. We hope you have a wonderful experience." Bonadonna figured he was going to get into, but he got his letter saying, "Mr. Bonadonna, so sorry. We wish you luck in finding another placement." Bonadonna said, "I'm going to sue these people. We full-blooded Italian living in Cajun land, and for that reason, they discriminate against us." He marched into the director of admissions office and said, "Look, I'm going to sue y'all for discriminating. My cousin and me, we took the same test, made the same grade. Y'all say, 'Come on in here, Glenn.' You say, 'Get out of here, Bonadonna.'" The director of admissions said, "Mr. Bonadonna, you might want to sue us, but before you do, let me give you some data, starting, for example, with answers to question number 72, to which Mr. Glenn said, 'I don't know.' And your response, Mr. Bonadonna, was, 'Me either.'" No cheating. The question is, how happy are you considering love and work? You see, you can get away with compartmentalizing for about 10 years. Don't like my personal life, so I'll focus on work. But I'm going to give you some research information that shows one of the biggest predictors of diminished personal happiness is when you come home from work irritable about what's going on. One of the biggest problems with diminished work happiness is when you leave home being shamed or blamed about for what you're doing at work. No cheating. It's about love and work. Now, the problem is that this day and time, we've elevated the finish line so much, and we have expanded our roles so much that we're living in toxic stress kind of paradigms. High demand, low control. That's the stuff that gets us. High demand, high control stress is healthy stress. We love that. I know how to do this, and I've got the goods to do it. Low demand, high control is boring, but it's not toxic. It's the high demand, low control stuff that gets us. And it gets us in so many ways, doesn't it? Oh, these are Mary's and my daughters. I thought y'all might like to see them. That's Rebecca on the left, 27 years old, got a master's degree in clinical psychology, just like her daddy. That's Julia on the right, 25 years old, got a bachelor's degree in psychology, just like her daddy. I love those two with my life. I'd eat my arms off for them. High demand, low control. They drive me and their mother insane. They're like two pieces of our hearts running around out there as I speak, scantily clothed, doing God knows what. Now, if it doesn't come in that form, what happens with high demand, low control stress is it tends to mess up that proverbial perfect lover scenario, doesn't it? Now, I am a person who is more respectful of cultural diversity than anyone you're gonna meet, I bet you. Not everyone has a traditional lifestyle. Not everyone gets married and has 2.3 children and an SUV in the driveway. But about 80 to 85% of people do follow that typical path. Certainly all of us, no matter what our walk of life, we're compelled to couple. Some of us do it again and again and again, trying to get it right. And it always starts out so blissfully. We believe when we find that new one true love that the two of us together make one whole person. I'm shy, you're outgoing, we'll get together, and I won't have to overcome my shyness. You work too hard, but I'm very nurturing. We get together, and I will be the nurturer. You can be the hard worker. The two of us together make one whole person. You complete me, we say. You wake up 7 years later, and you're arguing over the toilet seat. What happened? What happened, we know. If you wanted to measure on this axis, we're going to count behaviors that indicate intimacy on this axis as the years in the relationship progress. Now, on this axis, we're going to count how often you hold hands, make love, say something nice to your partner, say something nice about your partner in front of other people. We're going to count how often you say please and thank you to your partner. Anything you want to measure that's an indicator of intimacy. As the years go by, you better watch out for the yellow line. We start off sky high, don't we? Because the two of us, we're in love. I'm coming to get you. I'm giving you my best stuff. As soon as I get you, though, there's a dip. It's sort of like we say, okay, baby, that's enough of that. I got to get back to my real work now. Somewhere between 7 and 11 years, there'll be a landslide in that graph. Now, what does that typically correspond with in family development? Children, having children. You know what's interesting, though? Not only do parents have that landslide, childless couples also have the landslide. It's not just about role strain or lack of privacy. It's also about that which attracted you up here starts to repel you down here. You wake up 7 years later, and the sense is, not only do you not complete me, but you drive me crazy. And some of that very stuff I was most attracted to about you starts to irritate me. I used to think it was so cute, you're so outgoing, it makes me feel alive. Now I think every now and then, why don't you ever shut up? Because we find someone else can't complete us. I've got to take responsibility for my stuff. That's my psychological stuff. Now, a tragic thing happens, one version or another. About 50% of people bail out. Of all the people who get married today, 49% of them are going to get divorced before their lives are over. It's a lifetime divorce rate. Many, many of them who stay together are going to give up friendship, give up intimate, give up passionate, live semi-miserably ever after, settle for functional, call it normal, because everybody we know been together this long treats each other this way, they'll say. Who are those people that bounce through the tough times and come out stronger because of them? That's what Mary, my wife and partner in marriage and practice for almost 30 years now, and I have always been interested in. We've had over 25,000 high performers come through our clinic, Sotile Psychological Associates. I've treated thousands and thousands of heart patients also, because I specialize in health psychology. And the question has always been, what makes so many of these people able to thrive when others facing similar challenges crash and burn? Our latest work we're calling Letting Go of What's Holding You Back, coming out next year. And I want to give you the bullet points here. One of the big bullet points is to always understand the people who thrive are humble. Seek not to know all the answers, but to understand the questions. It's tough when you're paid to have the answers, when you're paid to do the deal. It's tough to learn those lessons of humility. that a long-term journey in a friendship, in a marriage, in a business relationship teach? We don't know the answers. Let me understand the questions being posed by your behavior. In some way, your behavior is telling me or asking me, would you give me more or less of certain things, particularly the behaviors that those customers or clients or patients or colleagues or loved ones, the behaviors that disappoint you, distress you. What do those behaviors mean? The people who thrive don't jump to judgment, they jump to being inquisitive, seek not to know all the answers, but to understand the questions. I've got a plaque in my office that says exactly this. In the lower right-hand corner, it says, LSU 1973, love, Dad. When I graduated from LSU on my way to get my PhD in clinical psychology, my dad gave me this plaque. And what a prophecy that was for a dad to give a son going off to graduate school. It was an amazing moment. Amazing because my dad is a man who barely graduated from high school. And I swear to you, in my lifetime, I've never seen my dad read a book. Never, not one book. Yet the hullabaloo, the graduation was over. He said, oh, I forgot, I got one more present for you. Went in the front of the house, came back with this crumpled up package that he had wrapped some time before and said, hey, here. I opened it and it just blew me away. This plaque, seek not to know all the answers, but to understand the questions. I thanked him, went to bed, had trouble sleeping, just thinking about how profound that was. Next morning, I got up, was thanking him some more. Finally, he said, that's enough, you thanked me enough. I said, well, I've got to ask you something. You've been reading philosophy or something that night after we go to bed? He said, what you talking about? I said, the saying on the plaque. That's so profound. He said, reading philosophy, as if. He said, you know that TV show I like to watch reruns of, Kung Fu? It's got that karate chopping guy in it. I swear to y'all, on the souls of my children, this is a true story. I said, yeah. He said, you know, I watch reruns all the time, and in every episode, there's a flashback where that guy, when he was a little boy, they used to call him Grasshopper, and he had talked to that old Chinese man. Well, that old Chinese man said that one night, and I was thinking, now that's the weird kind of stuff Wayne's always saying, and I wrote it down. Is that great? That's my favorite story. We're back to an important question being how happy. Now, if you're like most people worldwide who have responded to this little scale by researchers over the past 25 years, you said, I'm about a 7, thereabouts. Now, y'all are very optimistic. You might have boosted up a little. But most people across all cultures say they're about a 7. And the reason is because they're not quite over yet some of the bad stuff that has happened, or some great stuff they're wishing would happen hadn't happened yet. Why are you holding yourself back if you weren't off the graph? Well, it's because I want to wait till I get that next big contract. I want to wait until this next diagnosis comes through clean for me, my medical checkup. I'm holding back until something good goes on. Well, you know what? Even if you won the lottery, $130 million, you know what would happen? Research of lottery winners, they go off the graph for about 12 months. You know what happens then? They settle in at a 7.5, the typical lottery winner. If something awful happened, it downgrades us. Maybe the reason you're 7 or less than 7 is you're still struggling with something that's a setback in your life. People who were formerly fully functioning and have automobile accidents or are rendered paraplegic certainly bottom out on this happiness graph. Know for how long? 6 to 9 months. And then the typical person who has been met with that kind of setback settles in at around a 6.5. It's a statement of resilience. It's not the big stuff that matters, it's the little stuff. Now, this is a precious variable, this business of happiness, because we now know that happier people are more productive, they're more successful, they're more resilient. Your happiness is more likely to predict whether your children, if you have them, say they had a great childhood 40 years from now, than anything about how much you work or don't work. Happiness is a predictor of most of what matters most to us. And the great news, secondly, from research in this area, is that it's not the big stuff. Life is challenging, life is hassling. If you look at what differentiates those who thrive and those who crash, it's never about those who thrived avoided the hassles. Hassles are an inevitable part of life. It's the ratio of hassles to uplifts. The people who crash when the hassles start, they withhold the uplifts. People who thrive, People who are resilient, winners, high performers, double the uplifts during times of hassles. This is why people who have a sense of humor live longer than those who don't. This is why couples that laugh together stay together. Work teams that play together are more productive. Think of who your best friend is. I'll bet you $1,000 they make you laugh. It's not the hassles, it's the uplifts. This is why people who believe in the goodness of this step in the journey, we have pride of survivorship as a family or a work team, or the goodness of their industry. Meaning is the antidote to burnout. This is why people who believe in a nurturing God are more resilient than those who don't believe in a nurturing God, and much, much more resilient than those who believe in a punitive God. If you protect yourself with the uplifts, controlling what you can even during the most uncontrollable times, you're most likely to then be able to answer the first question I asked: who are you to the ones you love and work with? In a way that will assure their resilience and yours. The primary factor that promotes the ability to bounce through difficult times and come out stronger is the ability to maintain caring connection with your fellow travelers on the journey. Now, in our work, we pose this as a challenge: are you a hero? By hero, we don't mean, Mary and me, someone who does extraordinary stuff. By